Hello, Pete. Impromptu chat regarding Evergrande. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I have heard various pronunciation of this company. Evergrande, I think, is the right way to say it. But regardless, I figure it's a good thing to do as far as go on a live chat, talk about this company today and how it will impact the world economy and comic book, the market in general. Okay, so let me give you my take on this because I heard a lot of banters on all the network television today, all the channels from CNBC to Fox, you name it. It's everywhere. On YouTube, you can't go anywhere today without hearing Evergrande. So let's talk about it because I think they're all repeating the same thing. Okay, it's one. Nobody really care to explain or make some kind of worthwhile analysis. People just repeating each other. That's not that's not helpful. Okay, the one thing that you heard often today is that this is Lehman 2.0, Lehman Brothers 2.0. For those that was not around when the real estate market imploded in 2008, we had a massive financial crisis in this country where Lehman Brothers imploded and created a ripple effect that had massive contagion all over the place. Okay, Wall Street was really sick. The contagion was pretty widespread. And so I was around. Yes, I was around. and um, I heard a lot of comparison today about, oh, this could be Lehman Brothers 2.0. And um, I'm not there yet. Okay. I'm not sure if anybody that's popular on social media or on YouTube or on CNBC gave enough detailed comparison for people to understand the scope of this financial disaster. First up, when Lehman Brothers belly up, there was over $600 billion that Lehman Brothers had in debt. Okay, as in any corporate insolvency is mostly about liquidity. It's about most company. Okay, most company exists with a lot of debt. Okay, because many company leverage up. They use debt, especially this company. It's a real estate developer, so you can imagine how much debt it takes on to develop so many different properties all over China, right? Luxury condo, fancy resort, you name it, all kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, that's very typical of most business. Okay, so Lehman Brothers had over $600 billion in debt, and a lot of people are using, Evergrande failure or near failure right now is Lehman Brothers 2.0. Not quite. Okay, yes, it is pretty serious. It is very serious, but from what I can understand and research all day today, Evergrande has about $300 billion in debt. Assuming that number is correct or close to that, then it's about half the size of Lehman Brothers. Okay, you have to understand when Lehman Brothers failed, it was not the only firm that failed. How many people here was old enough to remember back in between 2008 and before that, there's a big mortgage company called Countrywide. There's a lot of mortgage company. Countrywide is one of them. That's the one that, and every bank, not just Lehman Brothers, okay? Every bank from Wells Fargo to my bank here. What was the name of my bank here before it was Wells Fargo? Let me look it up real quick. Now it has changed over to Wells Fargo, but before that it was something else. Let me look. Gosh, there was a lot of big banks that was involved in the mortgage debacle in this country from from that time frame. What was the name of that bank? That Wells Fargo, Wachovia. Merrill Lynch was Bank America. Okay, trust me, I know that well. I lost a lot of money with Merrill Lynch. That was one of my direct exposure. Okay, so you have Merrill Lynch near insolvency, bailed out by Bank of America. Wachovia, a very large bank, bailed out by Wells Fargo. There was multiple bailout all over Wall Street because many firms, the amount of debt that would have become insolvent was a lot more than $600 billion. Okay, it was massive, massive. Okay, and what's going on with Evergrande is bad, but it's nowhere near the magnitude of Lehman Brothers. Nowhere. Okay, so I want people to understand the magnitude of what happened back in 2008. It's not the same. Anyone that walk around and keep repeating this is Lehman Brothers 2.0 is not entirely correct if you really do the math. Okay, now it's bad. I'm not saying it's not bad. It's bad, but it's nowhere near Lehman Brothers 2.0. Let's make it very straight. Okay, because Lehman Brothers 2.0 could have been the first $1 trillion bailout that we didn't know about. Okay, we only know about the 600 billion of Lehman Brothers, but if we take into account all the other firms that did not go bankrupt, that need to be taken over, and here's the thing that annoys me for many years after. When Bank America bailed out Merrill Lynch by taking over, okay, bought it for cheap to keep it from going bankrupt. All of a sudden, for the next 5 years, Bank America was liable to get sued by all the problem. It's insane. Trust me, if you understand the situation, it's insane to see Bank of America get dragged in front of Congress. For those that remember, for many years after that, all the CEO of all the banks was dragged in front of Congress constantly to get grilled, to get finger pointed. How dare you did this? When many of them really was not the guilty one. Okay, can you imagine Bank of America getting asked by the government to bail out Merrill Lynch, to save Merrill Lynch, and you did that, and then shortly after that, you get dragged in front of Congress and finger wagging as if like you're the one that make the loan and create all the problem. It was insane. The insanity that happened, trust me, if you understand how everything worked, is complete showboating of politician, utter nonsense. Okay, I'm not here defending Wall Street. Make no mistake. But in hindsight, if I was Bank of America, I would say screw that. If you ask us to bail out Merrill Lynch, don't you dare come suing us after. Let it fail. Go ahead, let it fail. Same thing with every bank that survived, from J.P. Morgan to Wells Fargo to Bank of America, all the big banks, they are not guiltless. Let me make it very clear. None of those banks are guiltless. But it is insane how this country has turned on a lot of big banks like Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo was a pretty good bank. It inherited a miserable, bad bank, Wachovia, my branch. And then, if you know, Wells Fargo has been in a doghouse for many years now because of all the problem that Wachovia brought on board. Okay, it's just it's insane. Okay, it's if I worked for Wells Fargo, I would have said let Wachovia fail, because in hindsight, if we bail out Wells Fargo, well, we bail out Wachovia, and then we spent the next decade fixing its problem, getting sued for its problem, getting blamed for its problem. Utter nonsense. Yeah, it's just utter nonsense. Now, will this? No, what's funny about one? What not funny? What's odd about Evergrande? Okay, is that if you follow the stock market and you follow what China has been doing the past 2 months, China has been cracking down on many business the last 2 months. You know, they are putting on restriction. They are much tougher on a lot of private business. If you follow the stock market, many Chinese stock has took a beating. Okay, from all the popular company, from like Alibaba to Baidu to Neo, many Chinese stocks has took a beating the last few months, more than anything else. Regardless of how our stock market has done so well, they have been taken out to the woodshed because the Chinese government has cracked down on them. Now that we see what happened with Evergrande, perhaps they knew about this problem, this contagion, for a while. You know how the Chinese government is. They tend to keep things on a down low, right? Just like, how many people was infected with COVID, how many is COVID death, all that stuff. They're pretty secretive. So for them to announce today, for the Chinese government to let the news come out today, timing matters. Okay, so for all we know, they knew about this problem months ago. Evergrande CEO could have approached the central bank of China months ago and said, "We are in big trouble. We are billions of dollars in debt that we cannot pay, and we can go insolvent, and we will cost hundreds of thousands of jobs, and millions of people will lost their investment, blah 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 blah." Uh, so who knows when the news has circulated within the Chinese government. Do I know anything about the Chinese government and what it will do? I don't know, but I think the Chinese government is gonna let this play into. I'm not gonna say that the Chinese government is gonna let Evergrande fail. I'm not saying that the alternative is the Chinese government bailing out Evergrande. I'm not saying that either. Okay, I think it's pretty clear that the Chinese government want to teach the greedy, stupid people a hard lesson. That's why they cracked down on many billionaires the past few months. They cracked down on many high tech companies. They are sick and tired of this westernization of their culture. It's, if you don't know, the average Chinese earn a lot less than the U.S. people, right? Let's make that very clear. If you don't understand world economy, okay? Chinese problem is very much the same as our problem over here. People overspend. Everyone is drunken with the need to own things, to be popular, to look good, to show off. It's not just a U.S. problem. Okay, it's not. When the average Chinese is earning like less than 20,000 a year, who the hell is buying 30,000 Tesla every month? Think about that. Okay, it's the debt issue over there are rampant, and I'm sure the lockdown, the slowdown of the economy because of COVID, the past year and a half, have a huge impact on Chinese economy, and it's trickle up. Okay, this is not trickle down; it's trickle up to Evergrande finally not be able to make the payment on the loan. Will they go through the collapse like us in 2008? I don't think so, because what ha- I, I'm in the minority, okay, to say that what happened with the Lehman Brothers situation was one of those things that while the Fed, Greenspan, or Bernanke, but it was Bernanke, right, will never admit to that. It was a mistake to let Lehman fail. Okay, it was a mistake. I don't care what the common people want to have riots about saving Wall Street, all that stuff. I don't care. The fact is, the cost of bailing out Lehman would have been better than let Lehman fail and cause the Great Recession that we had. One, hey, in why do you think the Fed printed $6 trillion the past 18 months? Because they saw what happened when Lehman failed. Okay, they saw what happened when they want to teach somebody a hard lesson. Okay, it created a problem that is worse than they can imagine. It was what happened there was just catastrophic. I mean, we were at the teeter of depression. Okay, if you it was so bad. I mean, some area of the country didn't look as bad, but I can tell you where I am till today. I even did a video last year or 2 years ago. This town is still devastated from 2008. There are still more empty space, empty office space, commercial space than rented space. I know friends that own commercial real estate and they have not been able to raise rent in 13 years. Okay, because the commercial market is so depressed. When so many square footage in the hundreds of thousands, if not millions, is available to rent, you dare not chase away anyone by raising a nickel. Okay, the friend that I have, he's not even asking people to sign a lease. Yeah, that's how bad things are. He's just like, just stay, just pay month to month. I'm fine. You don't need to commit to 5 years, 1 year, nothing. I mean, he literally like begged people to stay. Okay, so it was the- people will look back and say 2008 was a great recession because they don't want to use the word depression. It was pretty ugly. The whole moral hazard, or we should have done that. All the people that talk about moral hazard back in 2008 are the same people that is crying for the stimulus check the past 18 months. Okay, not everyone. There are still people that live in some kind of make believe world. I know there's people out there that say, "Oh, we should have never bailed people out." What's the alternative? What's the alternative of not giving people stimulus check? You want riots? You want people to storm all the grocery store, break down windows to get food? That's what you're gonna get. Okay, it's easy to sit there and throw out like nonsense, like, "Oh, we shouldn't bail people out. It's moral hazard this, moral hazard that." The, you think the Black Lives Matter riot was bad? That's a small segment of the country. How would you like the whole country hungry? Yeah, it would be ugly. Hello, Comic Mac Musing. Hello, boss hog. Now, I think China, um, if you read up on what's going on, I don't think the Chinese government is going to bail out Evergrande. Okay. What is happening from what I read today is Evergrande has slowly um, exchanging asset for debt that they owe. Okay, first of all, if you own stock in Evergrande, most likely it go to zero. Okay, but what they are doing, or I think this is what they're doing, is they literally exchanging debt with properties and things they own, so that you know, so that they can try to survive. Like anything else, if you make an analogy of like yourself, right? Let's say if I am in financial difficulty, well, what do I have to do? Sell off many things, whether it's comic books, car. So parsing out whatever I own that have value in exchange for the debt that I own because I can't make payment. Okay, so that's what is going on. Okay, I don't think anyone is talking about that on network TV because they just like to repeat the same thing, a lot of fluff. But I think what the government is going to do is buy time for Evergrande to do that. They're going to buy time to have Evergrande have an orderly exit, an orderly death. It's not like Lehman Brothers. Oh, you can't make your payment, insolvent, goodbye, 35,000 employee hit the street, empty out your cubicle, it's over. It's not going to be that drastic, but it's going to be an orderly, liquidity driven event that piece by piece, property by property is going to be sliced and diced and given back to the people that they owe money to. Instead of making debt payment, loan payment, they're going to have to give away the piece of their assets in exchange. China want to take over. Yeah, they have to. I mean, there is no other way. I mean, the I don't have a problem with a government bail out a private business. I have a problem with the government bail out money and not take equity. Okay, I don't have a problem at all if China say, Evergrande, you can't make your payment, you're insolvent, we're taking it over. Not a problem there. I think that's the thing that I disagree here in this country. If the airline want to bail out, no way as a government would I give Delta billions, tens of billions, and have nothing to show for. I want a piece of that. Okay, a piece. It's I don't know who these bureaucrats that agree to lend out money to bail out any businesses. Do they not take finance classes to understand that it's okay to bail out somebody, but take an equity piece, take a piece of that business so that you own it, partially own it, so that when it rebound, you make a profit. This government is too damn stupid to understand simple finance. Okay, I don't have a problem with us printing of trillions. I have a problem with stupid government that print out trillions and bail out company and get zero equity. Moronic. Unbelievable. Oh my God. Okay, so now it will hurt the market. The stock market will be jittery for a few days until they know for sure what the heck the Chinese government is going to do. I think the Chinese government has already cracked down on a lot of private business the past few months. I think the crackdown is going to be even harsher. They had enough. They have had enough of this Western contagion of excess nonsense. You realize that Disney has not been given the right to show any movies for a while now, right? The last movie was Mulan. Okay, that was the last movie. But Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, yeah, this is all related. Okay, I don't care what people want to categorize what's going on. A lot of what's going on in China in the past few months are all tied to this Evergrande, in my opinion. Okay, because the Chinese Communist government is fed up with the bullshit, westernized, excess nonsense, people driving Tesla, iPhone, social media. This is nonsense, okay? They're gonna crack down hard on a lot of business because it's excess. It's all of this is people overspending, okay? We're living in a world where we overspend. All of us. Here, China, you name it. It's probably even worse in China. Like I said, when an average Chinese person is making less than $20,000 a year, what business do they have buying 30 something thousand Tesla a month? What business is that like more cell phone, more iPhone are sold in China? So they can all take selfie and Instagram pictures, earning $16,000 a year. It's insane. Okay, it's a whole it's the whole Westernized culture of excess that's gonna be cracked down in China. Well, China has already tried to pull away from the American dollar, and then now that we see what's going on, it kind of makes sense on why China is cracking down on crypto, all right? Because they want, like I said before, they're cracking down on crypto because they want to convert their people to what? Their own Chinese crypto. Why? Because once they issue the Chinese crypto and force the people of China to use the Chinese crypto or digital yuan, or whatever you want to call it, it's all traceable. No more funny business with all the nonsense. Okay, this is all a step toward China stamping down, cracking down on excess. Okay, it's that will have an impact on the world economy more so than what's going on with Evergrande because China consume a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. Overconsumption. Like I said, go and study up on Chinese economy. When the average person is making 17 to $18,000 a year, and just look at what they are buying. They outside the US, they are leading the world in luxury car purchase. It's just insane. The excess spending, pretty crazy. Pretty crazy, okay? Um, is deflation a possibility? For sure, for sure, cramp down on spending will stop inflation. all that worry about inflation. Oh my God, inflation. Oh my God, rampant inflation. Oh my, that's all we heard. All we heard for the past 6 months is, oh my God, inflation is going to be insane. Well, if China curtails spending, there won't be inflation. Okay, there's going to be a reversal. Would there be deflation? Hard to say yet. We don't know how much slowdown they want. But I can tell you right now, when the Fed meet Wednesday, our Fed is meeting this Wednesday. And prior to this week, the talk about the Fed is oh, the Fed is going to start tapering. He's going to start talking about raising rate because of inflation. The inflation is going so, inflation is real. Well, now that we saw what happened in China, I can guarantee you, who want to make a bet? Who want to make a bet that the Fed will change his tune Wednesday afternoon? He's going to talk about world uncertainty. World economy uncertainty is going to stop us from tapering. We are not going to stop stimulating because now there is so much world economy uncertainty. Who want to make a bet? That's what I just said is going to be the main theme this Wednesday. Yeah. Now, how does this impact our market? Right? No doubt. Okay. Is this going to cause a stock market to crash 20, 30%? I don't know. Okay. I have a good chunk of my asset in cash, so I'm not like panicking. But at the same time, it's too early to say how far or how deep this correction is. Keep in mind, we are about 4.5% off the all-time high. Yes, I just said that. Our stock market depend on what market? Depend. You talk about the Nasdaq, the Dow, the S&P 500 is roughly 4 to 4.5% off the all-time high. Okay. Well, you know that in this year, in 2021, we have not had a 10% correction. Yeah, the market has been pretty strong, pretty resilient because of all the money printing, all the liquidity that the Fed has pumped into the market. Okay, so it's unprecedented that we not have a 10% correction in a long, long time. And so right now we are off 4.4, between 4 and 4.5%. It seemed worse because we're so spoiled. Okay, that's the human psychology. When you're so used to see things go up, up and up and up, when we're down like 2% today, it's like, oh my god, the sky is falling. Oh my god. It's not that bad yet. Okay. Would I sell some of my stock if I smell something bad, something worse? For sure. I would not want a business that have high exposure to China. Okay, as much as I love Apple, as much as I love Nike, as much as I love Starbucks, any business that have big exposure to China, me no likey today. Okay, as much as I love those businesses, I did not buy the dip today. Not in those. Okay. MR Baller 101. I don't know. Okay, I have been in the camp for a long time that said the Fed will keep printing forever. And I don't know. Okay, I understand that there are inflation. I'm not saying that there is no such thing as inflation, but I also on the camp that say that they don't have a choice to keep stimulating because the moment that they stop, we will have an economy crisis, an economic crisis in this country, around the world. Okay, we have gotten ourselves in a deeper hole than ever, and there is no end. There's no end to this. There is no end. I don't see an end. Okay, I I don't know enough to tell you how it's gonna end, but I can tell you right now, I don't see how it can end. Okay, I don't care about hyperinflation or inflation. There is the Fed has went where no man has gone before. Now, how does this impact the collectible market before I go because that's all tied together. Okay, um, certainly it's not a good thing. Okay, because well, it's gonna hit the hobby, the collectible market, the comic book market, different tier for different reason. Okay, on the upper end, okay, when you're talking about six figures, seven figures book, who knows who are those people? Okay, but one other thing that I know for sure is when bad time like this happen, the super rich, they don't stop spending. They look for better opportunities. Okay, so it's not that they would say, "Oh, oh my God, I'm so scared." Like the multi millionaire, the billionaires out there that would buy a six, seven figure book. They may say, "Ah, I see a attractive opportunity in that business over there." So they might put money in whatever that is that they think is attractive. They might shift their focus away from comic books. So they're not like, "Oh my God, the stock market is crashing. I'm so scared." That's not how the super rich think. Okay, that's not how the super they didn't get there for acting like a child. It's a different kind of mentality. So certain segment of the market may be impacted by that kind of thinking where the super rich will say, I see opportunities elsewhere to make money, so I want to shift my money chasing or investing in that over there instead of buying collectible. That can happen. Right? They're not going to be pulling back on buying Action One because, oh my God, I'm so scared. Um, Now, I think the segment that's going to get hurt the most, I think it's going to be the mid segment. By mid segment, I think it's the thing that we consider not like mega keys. Okay, the mega keys, I think, are hold by strong hands, right? They not. I can only guess. This is just a guess. Okay, I don't know that they tend to be held by strong hands and nobody's gonna be panic selling into anything. But I think the weak hand, as we saw last March, where the pandemic hit and many big keys dropped a lot in March and April of 2020, those the same books. So you can see the X-Men one. You can depend on who hold the books. Okay, this is the thing. What's hard about the collectible market is that who own this book? Do they own it with cash or did they borrow? Okay. If you are leveraging up to buy something, no doubt when something like this happen, you are going to get hurt. You are going to be forced selling. Okay. So I can only think that, we'll see. We'll see how quickly something get hurt. When we see a dump, it's usually because somebody have to sell because forced selling tend to be ugly. Okay. Okay, let's see. There's so much going on in the chat room. I can't keep up. Um, no, it's I the one thing that I talk about today, like if you watch my video today about how I question the logic that new money is staying in the hobby. I shot that video back in July. I think new money has already left the hobby for the most part. Okay, I'm not talking about investment fund. That there are new money that are like all these big investment house that buying big books to put in kind of some kind of pool for fractional share buying. I'm not talking about those. They're not going anywhere yet. When I talk about new money leaving, I'm talking about the speculator that came into this market from baseball card hobby, from Pokemon. I think they already left. and they are the one that bought, say, Ultimate Fallout 4 or Spider-Man 300. A lot of those books that you saw rise to crazy new height in March, April, and May that had crashed hard since June, July, and August. I think those are the one. All the books that you see that crash hard in the copper and modern area, even bronze, I think those have been in weak hands that came in, overpaid, get blown up, left. Okay, so in my guess, I don't have any hard facts to give you. I think the new money there has already left, because once if you're from the sport card business, if you came from the sport card hobby and that market blew up, you likely is gonna dump the stuff that you bought that you overpaid in comic books back in March, April, and May, and move back to where you feel more comfortable, right? That's my guess. Okay, that's my logic thinking, but logic doesn't apply to many collectible market because people behave irrationally. And that's it. I just want to go on. I didn't want to be on. Wow, I've been on for 40 minutes. Yikes. Well, good to hear, Baller, as far as you thinking the comic market is more stable. My advice to everyone, as you see Mike's self, I was talking about my advice is don't ever trade on margin. I talked about this story many times about me getting blown up on margin when I was 20. How old was I? I was 24 years old. Yeah, you're talking about 30 years ago. Yeah, I was blown up on margin. Okay, and I have not been on margin since. So my advice is, no matter what you do, don't go on margin. Okay, uh, everybody think they can do it. Everybody think they can do it on margin until they get blown up. Okay, so I learned my lesson 30 years ago, and I'm not about to tell anyone to even try margin. Forget about don't go crazy on margin. Don't do it. um, as far as my current state of the hobby, I'm quite pleased that I am 90% out. I'm glad I saw a lot the last couple of years, even this year. So it's all good. Sure. Did I wish I sell it quicker to get out all out by this point? Yeah. But hey, I can only sell so fast. Okay. I can only handle so many sales per week, per month. And it's been a good, steady sales all year. As you saw, I consign a ton every month to Comic Link. I saw a ton right here on YouTube. So I have I have slowly exit this hobby over the past few years, and hopefully I will be all out sometime next year. Yes, I am 2 years ahead of schedule. Okay, because I had planned to exit completely by the time my son is out of high school, which is 3 years from now. But look like I can get done next year, so I'm 2 years ahead of schedule. I just want to get the f out of this hobby. Um, and move on to do something else. You will see. You will see what I will do next. Maybe in a couple weeks, I will unveil something that I did with a lot of the money that I made selling my collections, and it's gonna be a different phase of my life. Okay, and I am pretty excited to move on to something different. Um, It's not going to be comic books, that's for sure. Brad asked, will you keep any books? Yes, I will still keep about 1,000 books. Okay. I still, right now, I have about 1,200 books left in my collection. I plan to sell another 200, and then I'm down to 1,000. I do have a plan to narrow it down even further to 500, but that's for another time. Okay, for now, my plan is to get down to 1,000 by next year, sometime next year, and then probably will scale out of doing any more comic book videos on this channel and move on to do something different. And then whenever it is that my son is old enough to say, Dad, I don't want any of this stuff, then I will sell at least another 500 to pare it down to the final 500. But no rush. Okay, the 1,000 books that's going to be left is good stuff, really good stuff, the stuff that I can sell easily. Okay, that has always been the plan. The plan has always been to sell all the stuff that are harder to sell. Just about, well, not every keepers that I have are high value book, but they're good stuff. The stuff that I can sell pretty easily. I'm pretty confident about that. Yeah. Do I like dividend stocks? Sometime. Okay, sometime, because the problem with dividend stocks are, even today, right? Most of them pay like 2.5% on the average. Okay, so it's not like it's huge amount of dividend. It's we all miss the days where we get like 4 or 5% dividend, right? Or saving or CDs and whatever, right? It's all relative. When mortgage rate is 3%, guess what? You're not gonna get anything for your savings or dividend. Okay, that's just the nature of the financial market. It's all relative. If mortgage rate was 15%, for those that don't remember or too young to know, in 1989, when I graduated from college, 1989, do you know what the mortgage rate was in 1989? About 17%. You heard it right, 17%. It was between 40 and 17%, depend on 15-year, 30-year adjustable rate. Yeah. And CDs, you can buy a 5-year CDs that pay 10% dividend. Okay, it's all relative. Okay, people complain about, oh my God, the saving rate right now is 0. Well, guess what? That's why your mortgage rate is 3%. If your mortgage rate was 8%, maybe your saving rate would be 1 or 2%. It's all relative. People just don't understand relativity when it comes down to finance. Indeed, myself, any company that giving you a higher dividend rate than the average rate should raise a red flag and warning to you. It's because the stock market does not believe it can sustain that dividend. Okay, I'm not saying that a company right now, if they pay 4% dividend, is going to go bankrupt. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the reason why it's paying 4 or 5% dividend right now is that the market think it is a crappy company and it cannot sustain paying the dividend. It's going to cut the dividend sooner or later. And usually the stock market is correct. Okay, whenever you see that kind of high dividend, it is a warning that something is not right with the company. Okay, if the average S&P company is paying 2% or 2.5% dividend, be very careful of anything that pay you 5%, because something is not right. Mr. Baller asks, what would your advice to build younger folks in their 20s about building wealth? Oh my God. I should do a different series about that, because it's just so many things. Okay. It's so many things. It's so many things. I have been asked a few times to do a series on um, how to start a business, what it takes to start a business, how to approach starting a business. I have been asked that because I have tried many business, failed many times. Okay, luckily one did work. Took a lot of hard work, a lot of failures, but there have been a few people that asked me, like, can you give advice on what it takes, what you did, how you did it, how you achieve, creating a successful company, blah blah blah. I might do a series on that. Uh, it probably won't be well watched or well loved because this place is filled of haters. But if it helped anybody, I'd be more than happy to talk about what it takes, what you should look for as far as what you need to do to be successful. Um, but let me tell you about my advice, okay? Real quick before I go, the one thing that I did that I think helped me out the most is that unlike many younger people in my days, okay, I was able to learn to delay gratification. Did I say that right? Gratification. Like the biggest problem with us, doesn't matter if it was today or 10 or 20 years ago, is a lot of people want things now. Okay? A lot of people. We are impatient. We I was able to delay a lot of that. I was willing to live poor. I was willing to not look fancy. I was willing to do a lot of things that may not have been popular, but I knew what I wanted out of life. I knew I need to do to get there. So trust me, in my twenties, many of my friends told me, Nick, why so serious? Why are you working so hard? You should be enjoying your life right now. You should travel with us to backpacking Europe, do a lot of fun things, and enjoy life when you can. Because when you're 50, you can't. I had the reverse. I want to work hard in my 20s and 30s because I want to retire when I'm 40s and 50s. And I did. If you know my channel, I talk about this. I've been retired now for over a decade. I'm 54 years old. I don't regret one bit of the sacrifice that I made in my 20s, working 100 hours a week, did whatever I need to do to make it. Okay. The only regret, in all honesty, the only regret that I have for working so hard in my 20s and 30s is I put family, dating, marriage on the back burner. Okay, because I couldn't do that. I couldn't be married and talk about families and having kids in my 20s if I was working 80 to 100 hours a week. Couldn't do that. So my only regret is start a family so late. I didn't have my son until I was 40 years old. And if I could, I would love to have a lot more kids. Okay, I love children. I love my son, but it is a big bummer. And the only regret I have is only able to have one child. It's the only regret. Uh, I do. I mean, I get emotional talking about it because I came from a big family, and it's bummed me out that I only have one. And but other than that, I don't regret one thing as far as working my ass off in my 20s and 30s. So my advice to the younger people is try to understand that whatever you do today, whatever fun you rather trade off you will pay for it later, okay? Because it takes hard work, it takes sacrifice, it takes things that you're willing to postpone a lot of things to get to the other. Not there's no shortcut to success, okay? If you're not willing to work hard in your 20s because you want to have fun, then be prepared to work your ass off in your 40, okay? Be prepared to work your ass off in your 40s and 50s and 60s. I rather not, okay? I bust my ass in my 20s, I bust my ass in my 30s, and then I start to slow down in my 40s, and by 50 I was done, okay? And I have no regrets as far as that path I chose, okay? It's not the right choice for everyone, okay? I get that. I know a lot of people that would tell me, no way, man, I'm 25 years old, I want to have fun. It's but yeah, if anybody care to have a series of video where I talk about what it takes, what kind of personality it takes, what kind of effort you need to put in, I can tell you right now, success require a lot of things, and part of that is luck. Okay, anyone that think that hard work is what it takes is just a lot of people that work hard still fail. Okay, you need a little luck. A component of hard work is a must, but also luck must be on your side. Okay, I told my story before, but maybe in that series I will go into details on the lucky breaks that I got along the way that make me successful. Okay, it was a lot of hard work, but there was quite a few lucky timing, lucky elements that fell into my lap, and I seized the moment. Okay, that's the thing. That's a big key to success. If you talk to any successful entrepreneur, they will tell you it's hard work, but when the opportunity crack the door open for you, you push it hard to get in there. Okay, because you might knock on a lot of doors, and many doors are not going to open. But once you get a door to crack open, you shove it in there. Okay, you trust me. When that door crack open, push it hard. Push it hard to get in there because that's your one chance. Okay, so I can talk about this all night. Trust me, I can talk about this all night. So I will spare everybody because it's been an hour. Anyhow, people, yeah, I mean, like I said, if you're 25 and you want to have fun, nothing wrong with that. Okay, it's just understand that there is gonna be time where you want to make money. Okay, there's how many people, in all honesty, how many people would like to be in my shoes the last 9 years on YouTube? Yes, I've been on YouTube for 9 years because I am mostly retired. How many people would rather be in my shoes at the age of 45 to be on YouTube every day and BS? How many people? Instead of grinding 9 to 5, 60 hours a week or whatever you're doing. How many people? If your answer is, yeah, I trade that kind of life, then guess what? You ain't gonna be having fun at age 25. Unless you get lucky with the lottery or whatever. Like I said, I'm not saying it's impossible, but you know, I don't know how else to get here. Okay, I just knew that I work a lot, I sacrifice a lot, and I'm glad it worked out for me that I can afford to live a leisurely life that I have now for the past 9 years. It's been good. Okay, trust me, stress kill. I prefer to live a pretty easy life, enjoy life. Right? It's I don't need a lot of fancy things. Okay, and if you like fancy things, You better work hard. Good for you, David Ross. Yeah. I mean, if you, yes, the chicken, like I said, life is good. Life is good. I have no complaint. Like I said, my only regret is not having more kids. That's it. That's the only regret. Other than that, there's no complaint about my health. I am about as good of any health I can be. I live a stress-free life. I don't have to answer to the man. I talk about comic books all day long on YouTube. I sell comic books for a profit. Come on, how much fun can I get, right? Anyhow, that's it for this hour-long chat. I didn't think it's gonna be this long. Thank you for tuning in. Right now, to summarize everything, it's not bad. It's not time to press the panic button yet. Okay, I will be watching the auction this week with Comic Link very closely, closer than ever before. It will say a lot about the health of this hobby in the next 2 weeks. Okay, the next 2 weeks is going to be very important for me to see how the big books hold up in this crisis. It will tell me whether the strong hands are still out there to prop up and support the big keys. I don't know. I have no idea how it's going to turn out, but in 2 weeks, it will be an interesting market report because right now I don't know. Okay, I don't know how Comic Link auction is going to pan out in the next 10 days. I have no idea, but we'll find out in about 11 days. Okay, so I will be watching closely and we'll see. Right now, my prediction is I think the market will be okay. The comic market for the big keys, I think will be okay. Okay, I don't think it's gonna be. I don't see a 20% crash or something like that in a big key book. But I do see. I can see a weakness. Yes, at best flat line on some big books, but I'm not gonna see. I don't think we're gonna see like Amazing Fantasy 15 dropping 25% kind of thing. Not like March and April of 2020. Okay, that was much more significant, much worse than this problem. What we have now is a problem. Make no mistake, it is a problem, but it is not anywhere near the dire situation that we all faced back in March and April of last year, where the world shut down. The world shut down. Okay? Shut down. Evergrande is a big company, but it's not the world shut down. Okay? So keep that in mind. Okay? It's not, it's yes, it's news, it's sensational, it's buzzword, it's the thing that get anyone to talk about all day today, but this is not a March and April 2020 kind of event. Okay, so I'm not all that scared. Not right now. I am concerned. I will keep my eyes and ears open and listen and read and research, but I'm not tapping on that panic button. Okay. Alrighty, people. Thank you for tuning in. Bye bye.